we've been able to hit a lot of bets this year on some of the same guys. We have surprises and disappointments for the season so far. Seth, you did a great job picking these out, but I'll certainly introduce them all and we can chat about them. First surprise, and maybe the most pleasant, is Austin Cindric in that Penske number 2 car. P14 in the points, and that's even after a 50-point penalty for doing something a little bit silly at COTA, and was able to finally lock down the Talladega win. Big-time season seeing the Penske driver really start to come into his own a few years into the Cup Series.
Dude, and we saw this like kind of at the end of last season, and we all questioned ourselves, like, is this legit? Because we saw it before when he made the playoffs earlier in his career, dude. Like, this is kind of just the type of guy he is. He can get hot. He can do it not only at your super speedways, where he is, again, the best super speedway racer in the next gen era. It's not close when it just comes down to who's out there and in position to win races there. He used to be a really good road course racer. We haven't seen that this season, as he obviously got that penalty with Ty Gibbs back on the road course there down in Texas. But you know, he's been showing up at these 1.5 miles lately as well, and had a lot of speed again down in there in Texas, won stage 1. So he's going to continue to get playoff points as well, dude. This is someone that the books are starting to catch on a little bit. We're not getting great numbers on, but I've been playing him in fantasy a lot, and he's been really good for my lineup. So Austin Cindric has been sensational, and I think we can safely say, like, it's pretty legit. Like who would you rather have, like, rest of season, let's just say fantasy rest of season, Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs? I think I would easily want to have Austin Cindric, right?
Yeah, I mean, Cindric has proven it. If Ty Gibbs and JGR as a whole run a little better as the summer goes on, maybe. But yeah, I'm certainly taking Cindric. I almost wonder if maybe the next gen is the cause for him not being so good on road courses anymore. Ran really well in Xfinity and in the Cup Series in limited starts in 2021 before the next gen, but just hasn't worked out the same. But yeah, super speedway king for sure. Able to take the checkered flag there at Talladega. And we kind of saw this last year in the playoffs. He was able to get in via kind of a lucky win at Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway down near St. Louis. And he was really one of those guys. I remember Cindric, Suarez, and Bowman, all guys that were really looked past in that first round. They all dominated, and I think they all locked themselves in on points mid-Bristol race in that first round there. Didn't work out so well, of course, for any of them in the round of 12. But Cindric definitely coming into his own there. And another Penske-powered car that has really surprised a lot of us this season, Josh Bery in the number 21, taking over for Harrison Burton. They've shown speed like it's a fourth Penske car, which we always kind of knew the Wood brothers were. You know, Ryan Blaney ran that year, got a win for them out of Pocono. Then it was kind of middling results here. Paul Menard's, Matt DiBenedetto's, Harrison Burton's of the world. You get a real wheelman like Josh Bery. That's no disrespect to either of those three guys, but it really just shows how good that Josh Bery is. Got the win at Vegas, an upset win, but certainly not a backed into win. They earned it. And on every track type, except for road courses, as we've talked about with Bery before, he may be the worst road course driver in the Cup Series. But everywhere else, I love betting this 21 car.
Yeah, man, he has been sensational this season. And honestly, like you said, I don't know if we expected it to be this good. And I think, like, the thing is you look at Bery and he's still 20 plus in the points, but it's not because he hasn't had speed. Last week at Texas, great example, was running out front, qualified very well. What was up there was Cindric, honestly, like leading that race for a good portion of the beginning stage, and then just fell back and got into trouble when he got back there. And like, that's kind of been the same thing happened at Martinsville earlier this season. It happened right after his Las Vegas win at Homestead as well. So yeah, man, I'm all about what Josh Bery's been doing right now. And he's someone we certainly have to pay attention to pretty much on all track types aside from the road courses for sure. So it's a great story too. We've talked about it. You know, a guy who met another one of these guys who met Dale Jr. iRacing online, comes down to Charlotte, starts working in that shop, goes from a mechanic to a guy who's behind the wheel of their late model car, works his way into Xfinity, works his way into Cup. Just a sensational grassroots story that we're going to see play out in real time here in 2025.
Yeah, man, who would have thought first week of May, 3 out of the 4 Penske-powered cars have wins, and Ryan Blaney is the one who isn't. Pretty wild stuff there.
Dude, wow. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, you would have saved me a lot of money. I'll tell you that much. That's for sure, buddy.
Hey, Blaney's going to get one here soon. Bery, just one of those guys who you give a guy a chance in a good car, and he is really going to turn it on. And we've seen that with Ryan Preece, too, running in the 3rd RFK Racing, number 60 this year. He's all the way at 18th in points. He's right on that playoff cut line. Better than we expected from him, and better than we expected from a 3rd RFK car that has kind of struggled at points even into this year with the 6 and the 17, the 2 mainline cars. 3 top 10s for the 60 this year, had a P3 back at, I think it was Vegas, led a bunch of laps at Phoenix on the option tire strategy. Would be even better in points if not for the P2 disqualification at Talladega a couple of weeks ago. Preece really has been a revelation in the 60 car and a guy who might have a chance at getting into the playoffs and getting into the winner's circle before the regular season's over.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you were to say rest of the season, which car do you want out of this stable? I mean, we know it's not Brad Keselowski. We'll talk about him later. Chris Buescher's looked really good at time. Chris Buescher fast at Texas. He had a little bit of a rocket. I thought that maybe there was a chance that he was going to come home for some tickets. I saw some people out on the internet were pretty high on him, but yeah, dude, something about Ryan Preece. I think we all like this is like post hype sleeper status, right? We talk about that a lot in fantasy football, and like Ryan Preece, when he got into that SHR car, I was really high on him. Like I really liked Ryan Preece. I like that he, sat out the year that he needed to, waited his turn at SHR, and then it just didn't work out when he got in that ride. And as he said, 18th in the points right now. And if it weren't for that penalty, he'd be right there. That disqualification, he'd be right there up with Chris Buescher. So yeah, I like what Ryan Preece has been doing a lot. Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, rest of the season, go.
Buescher, just because
okay.
he's I don't Ryan
road
Preece
courses
more,
too.
Yeah, road courses. Preece is more borderline with the race winning speed, but I like them both, and you're right. I certainly like them both more than the owner there. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Talk a little about Chris Buescher too. I thought he might have been on my card. I do bring him up in the betting article that'll come out in the morning. Gives you a preview of our model, our top 10, tells you what the stats are that are broken down in there. If you still need convincing, which by this point 11 races in, I certainly hope you guys don't need any more convincing, but you'll look for that tomorrow morning on the site, where I also pick a couple of selected outrights. But anyway, enough with the plug, more with some more surprises. I'll kind of group these guys together, but we will talk about them individually because they deserve the flowers. AJ Allmendinger, back in the number 16 this year full-time. We said when he got that car, hey, AJ Allmendinger deserves to be in Cup. We said when he got booted from that car, won the Roval, had to go back to Xfinity, hey, AJ Allmendinger deserves to be in the Cup Series. He's back this year, and he has shown AJ Allmendinger deserves to be in the Cup Series. Kaulig has been better. AJ Allmendinger has been good. They've had good runs on surprising tracks. And he's a guy, especially with his road course prowess, he's someone that certainly could be someone to watch on multiple different track types throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, dude. And the thing I love about AJ Allmendinger from a betting perspective as well, Elliot, that he shows up when he's supposed to show up. Homestead. Everyone knew, like everyone and their mother knew that Homestead, he usually is fast there. What's he do? He shows up with an absolute rocket, goes out there and just gets the most out of his Kaulig equipment, man, and cashes that top 10 ticket. I know you were on it that week. I was like, I can't bet a 2-1 on it. Like, I need a better number. And you're like, hey, sometimes you just got to do it. And you were right on that. And it's so funny too, because the season could not have started off on a worse note for AJ Allmendinger. And I think part of why I didn't want to get on him back when we were there in Homestead was because Daytona 500 blows up 42 laps into the season, engine failure. And all right, like last place finish, 41 out of 41. We got to start out here, even behind Helio Castroneves and that whole squad out there. So it's been an uphill battle, but 14th at Atlanta, Phoenix top 20 run, Las Vegas top 10 run, Homestead top 10 run, Bristol top 10 run. He's showing up when he needs to. Obviously didn't have the best luck down there in Texas again, but another guy who started top 10 and just kind of crashed out late in this one. So I would expect AJ Allmendinger to like honestly be on some betting cards when we're heading back to some of these road courses, because we're going to talk about it later, but I don't know if Kaulig has that much worse equipment at this point than Trackhouse. They might have better equipment. I think Kaulig as a whole has just been so impressive, man. Like, we have to give their flowers to him because we absolutely poo-pooed on them for the good part of 2 years. Other than, we always know, like, Matt Kaulig, dude, that guy is absolutely jacked. He is he's properly yoked. We have given that guy his flowers, but not his organization. So I'm glad we're doing that tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Allmendinger, a guy that does deserve the flowers, as does Ty Dillon. And I would never thought I would have said that. He's a guy that has been the butt of many a joke here on the back road over the years, if you've paid attention. Yeah, the point standings, he's not super impressive. He's down at 30th in the points, but he's been P16 or better on 5 separate occasions this year. He's a guy who I really thought both him and the second Kaulig car were going to be just a moving chicane more than anyone else. But I think that added support from RCR, because this guy happens to be in the 10 car. Again, I don't want to rag on him too much, but I've gotten to the point where he deserves this Cup Series ride, and I would not have thought I'd have even gone that far with Ty Dillon when he last was in Cup out of that 77 car a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, no top tens this season, but I mean, just how consistent he's been. And like, I don't understand how he's so good. And maybe it's the next gen car. He just has something with it, but he's so much better in the next gen car than he is in a truck, than in an Xfinity car. Like he is really good at this car compared to what we've given him. 14th at Daytona. Okay, that's fine. Anyone can do that. Phoenix top 16, Las Vegas 21st. Homestead 27th. Like he's had only one race this season worse than 30th, man. Like you would have not expected that. Last week at Texas 12th, Darlington 16th, Martinsville 15th. Like this guy's running off top 20 finishes. He's been excellent for fantasy lineups, whether you're playing over there on Fan Tracks, whether you're doing daily lineups in DraftKings. He's been fantastic there, and like so much to the point where we're heading out this week, man. And like there's a 27-1 Ty Dillon top 10 that I might just entertain, just for a little S&Gs. But so I really like Ty Dillon, and I can't believe that, because I mean he looks better than a good 6 or 7 drivers right now, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's true. It's tough for him to get on my betting card, but like I said, I have drivers that are lower in the points that are on my season-long betting card. Goes back to the point I meant to make when we were talking about Allmendinger. I was going to make the exact same point you did about SVG and Trackhouse. Again, we'll talk more about him later, but the way that the 88 is running on these ovals, he's showing nothing, and the way that it worked out at COTA wasn't the best car there for SVG. So Allmendinger certainly could be on more of the road course cards. Mexico is not too far away. Neither is neither are some of these other Chicago
the
Street
Roval.
Course.
I'll be
Roval in the playoffs. That's the thing. If he can pull off a win
at
one of those places, he's got the Roval lined up for him in the playoffs. We thought the same thing about SVG in the Xfinity playoffs last year. And a guy who's won in Allmendinger, he's won that race before, not in the playoffs, but went out there and won that in 2023. So certainly a guy that can get it done. A win for Ty Dillon would be a little much, but just the fact that he's going to continue, I think, to have a respectable enough season. He's almost like a cat with 9 lives. Jermaine Racing kind of flamed out. He had some Joe Gibbs Xfinity rides a couple of years ago just to try to get something. Those went terribly. Ends up still coming back. Truck Series with 77. This guy's been around the world, honestly, in NASCAR, and in a pretty decent ride, having pretty decent results. So I'll give Ty Dillon his flowers too, man.
Resilient, very, very resilient. Cool story. So hopefully he can continue to prove he's more than just a back marker in this series. Couple of things I wanted to address. First of all, we got a shout out from our guy Bob Bodner in the chat saying go Ty. 500-1 on the outright if you want it, Elliot. All right,
talk to me when we get to Atlanta or maybe Daytona.
Yeah, a little moonshot there for our guy Bob. And then we also have Club in the chat saying good analysis when talking about Preece and Bery. But they have likely overachieved in this first third of the season, meaning probably going to have some negative regression reverting to the medium. Bery at least will make the playoffs. Do you think there's maybe any while we're kind of on this topic, Elliot, of these guys we've talked about, all these overachievers are Austin Cindric, Josh Bery, Ryan Preece, AJ Allmendinger, Ty Dillon. If there's someone that you expect out of this group to regress to the mean a little bit, like our guy Club in the chat is saying, who do you think it is?
Man, I mean, honestly, they all will, to an extent, kind of regress a little bit. I don't think we're going to see Austin Cindric run up front every week. Bery and Preece, I kind of thought they would be 1 to 2 week flashes in the pan. But I think they're guys that they're not going to be every week contenders up at the front, like especially with Bery on the road courses. Why even put him out on the track? Just withdraw that 21 car.
He got pretty cold. Bery also got pretty cold towards the end of last season. I mean, part of that was probably SHR falling apart and running on shoestrings, right? But at the same time, he was a guy who's been known to get cold during that summer slump a little bit. So just kind of something to keep in mind. He would probably be my pick for someone who I think could get cold, maybe heat back up around the playoff time once we get back to some shorter tracks.
Yeah, and I think Colleague in general, I don't think they're going to have a contention for a win other than the super speedways and road courses. So they may be running on the mean, and just the running on the mean mid-pack is good enough for them. That's the beauty of it, though. Even if Bery regresses to the mean, he just has to rebuild for the playoffs at this point. Try and get a couple playoff points, get in there as the 10 seed. And anything that you do in the playoffs is going to be a plus for them. And Preece is the kind of guy, it just takes one good weekend, man. And we've seen that this year. Takes one good weekend, gets you in the playoffs. Certainly could happen for Ryan Preece.
Certainly agreed.
All right, so we've talked the surprises. We've already kind of alluded to all the disappointments, but let's crack them open. The biggest one, for sure, Brad Keselowski in the 6. 32nd in the point standings. No top 10s for the number 6. Had speed in maybe 2 races this year, conservatively. Races that we thought he would have had a shot to win. Daytona 500, relatively uneventful. I can't remember what happened to him in that race, which means it must not have been good. Talladega, everyone. Brad Keselowski, man, this is his time. This is his shot. Crashes trying to get onto pit road in stage 1 on the first green flag pit stop. Texas, a place where Keselowski, we thought that he could run pretty well. Didn't work out for him. I believe he ended up involved in an accident, DNFing there as well. It has not been a good year for Brad. I wonder if this is just some kind of bad luck for him. Maybe he's a little over the hill. Maybe the owner and the driver coming together. Not as much time to go behind the wheel. Or honestly, maybe it just shows how good Buescher and Preece are, and Brad is just running to the capability of the RFK cars, because it wasn't that long ago that this was about where the Roush cars were running.
Yeah, like I don't think there's a lack of speed in these cars compared to a lot of other teams. Like again, I think they're probably like a top 16 team on speed, or should have cars inside the top 16. Some of this has been bad luck, right? Crashes out at Atlanta, crashes out at Phoenix, crashes out at Talladega, crashes out at Texas. So there's 4 DNFs right there that really aren't his fault in the 11 races. But then like Bristol 16th, like that's a place you expect Brad to show up. Darlington was not a factor at Darlington whatsoever as well. Like if you have gone out of your way to fade Brad Keselowski, and like the books are still offering matchups against him almost regularly. Sometimes it's against just Chris Buescher, which I'll gladly take most weeks as well. Sometimes like last week, I know our guy Rod on the program, he faded him against Ross Chastain, which was a little iffy at times at the beginning of that race, but Brad did what Brad did, man. Like I'm not totally shocked by this by any means, just because Elliot, like I came into the season with him outside my playoff predictions, but I am shocked that he's 30 plus in points and we're 11 races in, right? Like you can only dig yourself out of a hole so far. Is it must win territory for Brad now? 32nd, you think, in points?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's going to take a really, really big effort to get him in there. And for Keselowski, if you can humor me, crack open the silly season can. Let's pretend this Busch Light is my silly season can here. I'm going to crack that open. Keselowski, a guy again, over the hill a little bit, definitely getting a little older. Definitely knows that he's got his future secured in this sport as the owner, primary owner, manager of RFK Racing. There's a lot of guys in Cup that are going to be kind of moving and shaking. Some guys that we're expecting are going to be out of rides. There's a lot of talent locked in Xfinity and Truck because Cup guys have had staying power. Guys, just to speculate, there's Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer, young guys over in the Haas factory team in the Ford camp. Ford doesn't even have much of a development program because they know that Chevy and Toyota overload themselves, and there are really good drivers in those development programs. Maybe they've got nowhere to go. If Brad can kind of set aside driver Brad and pick up on owner Brad a little bit.
He can't go out like this, though.
Here's what I don't think he goes out like this. I think this year he realizes, hey, man, this did not go the way we wanted to. I'm assuming they don't win. I'm assuming he finishes 23rd in the points, let's say. Maybe he has a couple respectable runs. Maybe he looks close. I don't think he's going to get in the playoffs. I think next year, Brad gets his flowers. He gets his retirement tour. Hey, I'm done after this year, and I'm signing young, high-potential driver A, B, C, or D to come drive this 6 car when I'm out. And to add on with Buescher and Preece, they're 2 guys who obviously Brad Keselowski likes a lot. We've both talked them up within the last 10 minutes on this show. I think that's probably what happens with Brad. We're seeing the end of it here. A guy that certainly could go out and win, but definitely a disappointment. And I think we've seen the last of bad Brad, top Brad, champion Brad in the Cup Series.
Now it's just bad Brad, right? Now it's just it's stanky Brad. Yeah.
We're going to see plenty more bad Brad if you look at it that way.
Yeah. I think he'll at least come back for one more year. Doesn't want to go out like this. And I think we haven't seen the last Brad Keselowski win. I don't think it yet, but I think maybe there's one left out there somewhere, but maybe not. I don't think this year. Maybe
he announces the retirement tour, goes out, gets his Daytona 500. And we've seen guys go out like this. I mean, Kevin Harvick didn't win in his last year and a half, I believe.
Truex didn't, yeah.
Truex didn't win his last year and a half. Guys don't always go out on top. Jimmy Johnson.
Junior.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson. Those are guys who didn't win for multiple years.
Did Jeff win? Jeff won a lot last year, yeah.
So Jeff got kind of championship 4 in his last year.
Well, don't tell people that. Don't start that, Elliot. Come on, brother. Come on.
Well, Jeff got a little lucky that Matt Kenseth had a certain vendetta against Joey Logano. 2015 Fall Martinsville was able to get that win.
Yeah.
But,
We don't need to.
anyway,
That's
point is.
that's a different part of NASCAR YouTube, brother. I don't want to go there.
All right. Another disappointment we got Cole Custer. We've been talking about how both Preece and Josh Bery, guys who did not run well in SHR, now Haas factory team. We were definitely a little worried about this team coming into this year. We know Cole Custer's got some talent. You weren't that worried, but there had to be a little bit in you when you put that championship future. You're like, there's no way he's actually going to come anywhere close, right? But you hope that he pulls off a win somewhere. They've run like complete garbage. 34th in points, no top 10s. Haven't seen him do anything relevant after getting crashed on the last lap of the Daytona 500. It just has not been the season that the 41 team wanted. Haas factory team, they've downsized enough to the point where they are a backmarker.
I'm stunned on it. Like I am actually surprised just because like Cole Custer was so decent in Xfinity these last couple of years. And like, I just thought coming down to one team, they still had four cars worth of notebooks at all these next gen tracks for 3 years on it. So it's like, not like they don't know what they're doing. It's like the same people are in the building. His dad's running the team. Like they're getting help from RFK. The crew chief said before the season, like, oh, it feels just like I'm still at RFK from last year. Well, apparently not. Apparently it does not at all, because yeah, it's been bad, man. It's been really bad. And like, I didn't expect Cole Custer to be great, but I expected him to potentially be like a top 25 car. I think I had him 25th in my preseason rankings. And that was something where I thought I could maybe get a little, cash out value down the line on that 300-1 future. I mean, you might as well light that on fire and pour gasoline on it, or, feed it to the cats, whatever you got to do with it. It's over, man. It's been a nice run, unless he can get lucky at one of these, super speedways down the stretch. Cole Custer and this entire Haas factory team, things are not looking bright right now, man.
Yeah, Haas factory team 2025 running more like the old Haas CNC racing before Tony came in the mid 2000s. Quickly, we'll also touch on probably one of the biggest disappointments of all team-wise, Trackhouse Racing. They just have not had any speed off the truck this year. SVG all the way down 35th in points. That's more a guy acclimatizing to ovals. We'll almost kind of give him a pass, but he hasn't even really had a shot, even on the road course this year that we've been on. Daniel Suarez on and off, up and down, P25. Ross Chastain, good enough driver to get that car from being absolute garbage on Saturdays to drivable enough on Sundays. He's P11 in the points, almost won last week. But in general, not where Trackhouse wants to be multiple years into this project.
Yeah, dude. Like, honestly, there's a lot of issues here. First one is, you already noted it. SVG did not have legit speed when we were at the road course at Coda a couple months ago, right? Like, you could tell his car was not nearly as good as his competitors up there. And I think we all agree SVG is, like, if everything was equal, the best road course driver. Like, he looked better almost in colleague equipment at the end of last season when he got beat by Chris Buescher at a road course. So that was concerning, one. And then, Ross Chastain, he's had his issues at like Homestead last year, just had no speed at Homestead, came back to Homestead this year, did not have any speed. Some of these mile and a halves, Ross, like, yes, it's great that he is like top, still 11th in the points, does have 2 top 5s, does have 6 top 10s as well. So that's great. But a lot of those like have not been like running inside the top 10 a lot. It's been like finishes, but not average running position inside the top 10. So, and then he gets out of the car last week at Texas, P2, like, Ross, how you feeling after that? Like, and it's really almost like just felt like he took, sent a message to Justin Marks, like, hey, buddy, I'm bringing in Busch Light money. I'm bringing in legit sponsorship money to this organization. Like we need better equipment, because it's embarrassing the speed they have. And it's trickling right down to Daniel Suarez as well, who, he's shown up at some of the tracks we've known that Suarez was going to show up at. We liked him at Texas. I played him in fantasy last week at Texas, despite qualifying bad. But it's just, qualifying 25th, 24th, 23rd, 30th, 26th, 33rd, 23rd, 31st, like 29th, 36th, 5th. Like, those are Daniel Suarez's starts this year, man. Like, there's no speed in these cars. Like, this is the biggest disappointment right here, I think, honestly, other than Brad. But it is what it is there.
Yeah, it is really hard to make it up on Sundays when you don't have the speed on Saturdays. Big internet theory at the moment. Chastain, he's a better driver than this. Shouldn't he go to another team? I don't know if there's anywhere better for him to jump to, but that is a conversation for another day.